G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, back at it again with another episode of r/am I the a-hole. Now if you love today's content like I love you, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and enjoy today's bloody good content. Posted by user Muted Contribution 43, titled, Am I the a-hole for making the only woman at our job quit? This occurred over the course of months, and I was recently telling my family about this story, and my sister got mad at me and called me a sexist. But none of my actions had anything to do with that. I work at a small client service office. It only has about 50 people, all male, with the exception of a few support staff that were women. At the beginning of 2019, we had a new hire to our professional team who was a female. She initially fit right in at the beginning, but slowly she started to make changes and change our workplace for the worse. Prior to her joining, we had a very relaxed atmosphere. We'd curse, talk more explicitly, etc. No one seemed to mind, even our direct managers didn't care. But she complained about foul language and behavior, and soon our HR person got involved and told us we had to keep it more professional. Additionally, she was catty and would report people every so often. Essentially, she was making the workplace sterile and boring. We couldn't let loose as much, and all conversations had to be workplace appropriate. Our team would even have our own little events, like going out drinking together afterwards or go to concerts together, and obviously we excluded her, which she got wind of and obviously reported it. So now we weren't allowed to hang out as a team unless all were invited after work. I eventually told our team to not help her out with any projects and give her the bare minimum of assistance if she needed it. Most of the team agreed, and within a few months' time her performance dropped. I also made sure to report her every time she inconvenienced me. She eventually had a mini breakdown and ended up quitting. Obviously at work, the immediate team celebrated, but my sister apparently thought it was sexist. I told her if this had been a male doing it, we would have excluded him too. Dear Lord, how blind are you, OP? Do you not see what you were doing to this person? It was justified because they reported us and work just wasn't as fun after that. This is textbook sexism, you idiot. This is exclusion of a woman. You're so dumb, OP. How deep in denial are you that you were a piece of crap to this woman? My God, you're the a-hole in this situation. There's no coming back from that. You're the a-hole. You terrorized a random woman trying to do her job because she was probably reporting for legitimate fudging reasons. Lamau, what you consider foul language was probably super sexually charged to her. I don't trust a man who downplays the reasons a woman reported him to HR. I don't think any of the AITA ones made me this angry. The audacity to ask after clearly bullying her into quitting. Disgusting. I agree, OP. You're the a-hole. The only thing I find that you might have been right about is the work events. If you call it a work event, yeah, you're an ass. But if you were going out with friends, which it sounds like you were, then she has no control over your personal life. Other than that one thing, 100% you're the a-hole. Yeah, that's the one single thing that didn't sit right with me either out of a clear you're the a-hole. If it's a work event and announced as such, that's one thing. But you can't dictate how people group up as friends outside of work. That's crazy. I've never had to deal with HR, but would they really step in if there wasn't a legitimate reason? If it came out that literally everyone was invited but her, which I think is the case, as otherwise OP would have mentioned that others weren't invited, wouldn't this be grounds for a lawsuit? Especially given all the other crap they put her through. It seems it'd be really easy to prove workplace discrimination. I think you're correct. He said, we weren't allowed to hang out as a team unless we were all invited. To me, that means it was team events, not just him going out with his work friends, in which case, yes, you can't just exclude people. All conversations had to be workplace appropriate. Probably because it's a workplace. You're the a-hole. Here. I've been the woman in this post. Luckily, it was just my department that acted like a frat and not my whole workplace. But I was literally the only young woman working with a bunch of older guys, and foul language doesn't even begin to cover the bullcrap that I had to listen to. There were constant sexist boomer jokes, or my boss would say some crappy, women, right? Comment, and then look at me and be all like, oh right, sorry. There were literally nudie posters on the walls when I first started. There were literally tasks I was not asked to or allowed to do because I was a woman. The homo/transphobic and racist remarks were all over the place. I had to listen to the story of the first time my boss had even touched a boob in extreme detail, as he told the whole department like it was some cute and funny thing, and I was so intensely uncomfortable. The last one made me have a breakdown at lunch because I was just so tired of feeling so icky all the time. I reported it to HR, and luckily, that plus the gradual retirement of the older guys, who were all replaced with younger women, helped the atmosphere shift. But God, it was the singular most uncomfortable work environment I've ever been in. Guess who has a new job now? When I told my boss I was leaving, he was absolutely flabbergasted, and had absolutely no idea why I would go. Hilarious. You're the a-hole. Reminds me of my second job out of college. I stuck it out for 2 years and quit. All my managers were sexist boomers who would ask only the female employees to clean up the staff kitchen, make tea and coffee for clients, sexist jokes like, if you behave like that, what man will marry you? And follow that up later with, I was only joking. My assistant quit a few months into the job because our manager made her cry with his sexist bullcrap during a performance review. They would drink beer in the office during the day. Posted by user throwaway385647, titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to feature my fiancé's former significant other who passed away in our wedding? Trigger warning for loss and death. My fiancé was engaged for about a month to his high school sweetheart when she passed away in a tragic freak accident. For personal reasons, I don't want to get into how it happened, but it was no one's fault. This was maybe 6 years ago. Just for the purpose of this post, I'll call her Mandy. My fiancé has been very open about this loss and how it has affected him throughout our relationship. I know he misses her, and the memories he has with her are important and special. I don't want to take away anything to demean the relationship, and I've always been there for him on hard days and supported him when he needed it. We got engaged last year. The date is TBD, still for obvious reasons. It was very emotional for the both of us, and we've been really happy. But since planning the wedding, I've been feeling like I'm not only planning it for myself, but for Mandy as well. It started as comments from his family, a lot of, oh, Mandy would have loved this, type of things. I brushed it off at first and just thought it was a way of them processing grief. I have a great relationship with his family, but I know they loved Mandy too. When I went dress shopping, his mum and sister came. They kept talking about what dress Mandy would have worn, what they could see her in, etc. It might seem like nothing, but it really overtook the conversation. So much so that another bridesmaid told me later that she felt uncomfortable for me too. It turned from harmless comments into focusing what should be a special event for me into reminiscing over Mandy. My latest project has been compiling old photos of me and my fiancé for a slideshow at the reception, or rehearsal dinner, we haven't decided. He told me there's something he's been wanting to ask me. He really wants to include some kind of in memory of Mandy into our wedding, and thinks that the slideshow would be a perfect place. At this point, I was, and still kinda am, fed up with the Mandy comments taking over our wedding. I sternly told him that no, I don't think that would be appropriate, as this is our wedding and should focus on us. We are having a table with pictures of loved ones who passed, and she will be featured there. He told me that he doesn't think that's enough to honor her memory. He wants to incorporate her in a bigger way, as she never got her dream wedding. He also thinks it would be a sweet surprise for Mandy's parents, who were invited since he is still really close to them. I did lose my cool, I'll admit. I told him honestly how I felt about the Mandy situation taking over our wedding and how I'm uncomfortable with it. I also asked him if he could ask his family to limit the Mandy comments at our wedding, since now I'm afraid the whole wedding will be focused on her. I told him that I need time away to think and have been staying at my parents' house, but we've still been talking. Am I the a-hole? Am I overreacting? I mean, if anyone else was put in this situation like this and it was so overbearing like that, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be an overreaction to vent like that to your partner. I agree with you, OP. I really think the family is taking this overboard, and you were cool with it at first and didn't say anything, and it really just took over the narrative of the wedding. Your wedding is a celebration of you and your partner, and yes, it's traumatic that Mandy was lost so suddenly like that, but it's not a celebration of Mandy's life. Neither is it a mourning of her death. It's a celebration of the bond between you two in life. To have that so overshadowed and overbearing by the entire family would crush me if I was you, in all honesty, because, what do you say to them? Do you say, yo, can we not? Because that's such an insensitive thing. I really feel like you've been put in between a rock and a hard place, but I don't think you're overreacting, and I don't think you're the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It turned from harmless comments into focusing what should be a special event for me into reminiscing over Mandy. That's exactly what would happen at your wedding. It's totally reasonable to ask that the focus of your wedding be on you and your fiancé. Sorry to ask, but are you sure he's ready to marry you? It kind of sounds like he's marrying the ghost of Mandy. OP replies, thanks for this. I can never tell if I'm overreacting to the comments or if I'm a bad person for being afraid that they'll take over my wedding. Mandy hasn't been an issue in our relationship until we got engaged. Yes, he has his hard days, like holidays or when her birthday comes around, but she's never overshadowed our relationship before. Maybe wedding planning is triggering some grief for him, but in a different way. I don't know. I thought we were ready for marriage. I don't want our relationship to end, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't either. Maybe wedding planning is triggering some grief for him. 100% that's what's happening. Weddings and funerals are the top triggers for everyone dealing with crap, whether it's grief, addiction, depression, etc. You need couples counseling, and he needs individual therapy if he's not already in it. If he's not willing to do that, then he's definitely not ready to get married. Time apart is a good idea, and I'm glad you're still talking too. If this isn't normal for your relationship, then I think you guys will be okay with time and help. This is good advice. He needs to understand that it's still okay to love Mandy and mourn her loss, but she is, for better or worse, in the past. You have already accepted her role in this past, but it's critical in these relationships to not be constantly reminded that, but for her death, he would have been with her. He and his family seem like they're living with that as a daily motto rather than an accepted reality. I do wonder about how she died. I understand that you don't want to go into detail, and I respect that, but I am curious if he feels responsible in some way. If he or someone in his family feels responsible for whatever reason, that's a whole other can of worms to consider. If it's also a scenario of, but for his action/choice, she would still be here, then he needs individual counseling. OP says, he was not directly responsible, nor was he even there when the accident happened. He expressed to me that he does have regrets about the day, saying things like, if I would have done this, maybe it wouldn't have happened. But still, he was not directly responsible. She was not responsible either, it was just a freak accident. Those regrets sound like survivor's guilt, and considering they were engaged at the time, I'm not surprised he and the rest of his family are having issues. Please make sure he gets counseling, take a deep breath, support him, love him, but stand firm. The wedding can wait until you're both ready. Not the a-hole. And based on this post, it honestly seems like you will always be an afterthought and a replacement for Mandy, his one true love, quote-unquote. Talking about what Mandy would have worn for their wedding, had she not died? Wanting to include her in a slideshow about you guys? This is troubling to say the least. I really hope you don't spend your life being forced to compete with a dead girl. Future prediction, if you have kids and one is a girl, they, fiancé and his family, will want to name her after the dead girlfriend, at least the middle name. Talking about what Mandy would have worn for their wedding had she not died? And who would Mandy have married if she hadn't died? OP's fiancé. How disrespectful to OP and how painfully obvious that she's second best. And wanting to include her in a slideshow about you guys. Think of how upsetting it'd be for Mandy's parents. Here's another reminder that Mandy never got to get married because she died, and how uncomfortable for everyone but OP and his family. People are going to be whispering, "Oh, who's that? A sister? Cousin? Oh, late fiancé. Oh, wow, awkward." OP, not the a-hole. Think about whether this is truly a life you want to live, where you will be overshadowed by the memories of a dead person. When you're pregnant, I bet Mandy would have looked so beautiful pregnant. Have a baby? I bet Mandy would have been such a great mother and make parenting choices that are so different from yours. Don't compete with the memories of a dead person because you'll never win. A dead person only becomes better over time and can do no wrong, ever. Posted by user SnooChocolates7847. Titled, "Am I the a-hole for being angry that my boyfriend is walking his best friend down the aisle?" So, throwaway account. I've recently started dating this guy, Andy, for about 6 months. His best friends are Felicity and Jacob, and they've all been friends for over 10 years. Andy and Felicity are very close, and I mean very close. They go to one another for everything. They meet up 2 days of the week, and they text 24/7. At first, I tried to not think anything of it, as I knew they were friends, but I didn't realize they were that close. I've questioned it before, thinking that surely there was something between them prior. He laughed and said that nothing has ever happened between them, that Felicity and Jacob were always a thing. He also said that they went through a lot of things during high school, and that she was his person during really rocky periods in his life, and they're each other's support systems. I'll be honest, their closeness does make me feel uncomfortable, and I feel that it often interrupts our relationship. Fast forward to now, Andy is the best man, so he's often busy helping with wedding planning, etc. One night, I was invited to drinks, and I was then made aware that Andy offered to walk Felicity down the aisle. Confused, I asked why wasn't her father walking her down. Felicity said that he passed away, and that originally her cousin was walking her down, but he lived interstate and was unable to travel due to borders being shut. When we got home, I asked Andy why didn't he tell me, or even ask if I was okay with it. He replied that he didn't have the time to tell me, as it was arranged literally moments before we went out to drinks, and he asked why wouldn't I have been okay with it. I told him that I was slightly uncomfortable by the closeness of their relationship, and I often felt he prioritized their friendship over our relationship. That over the last couple of weeks, I felt that I wasn't given as much attention as Felicity had been receiving, and I didn't really understand why he was the one to be walking her down the aisle. He said that he was very close to her dad, and that Felicity is a very important person in his life, and she shaped him into the person that he is today, and that she's done so much for him that he wanted to do this for her. He said that I shouldn't feel uncomfortable, and that he hadn't meant to make me feel that way. He stated that their friendship was important just as much as our relationship. I got angry by this, as I felt he wasn't understanding my perspective at all. I said that he clearly thinks I'm of less importance compared to her, and that he wasn't taking my feelings into consideration. I told him I was uncomfortable by it, and out of respect for me, he should at least just stick to being the best man, and perhaps find someone else to do the job. He said that I should be respecting his decision to do this for Felicity, and that she doesn't have anyone else to do this for her. I ended up dropping the conversation out of frustration, and I don't know if I'm being an ass in this situation. I think you are. I think you're being an ass in this situation. You're making a big deal out of nothing. This is a non sequitur situation. Nothing is going to come out of them walking each other down the aisle. They've been very clear with that, and it doesn't read like she would be cheating with him. I think you really need to get your head out of your ass, OP, and just suck it up. Let them be happy at the wedding and realize that nothing is going to come out of it. These are just your insecurities you're projecting, and you may need help being this insecure over this. Felicity has no one else to walk her down the aisle. Why would you take this one opportunity away from her? That's heartless. You're the a-hole, OP. You're the a-hole. He's walking her down the aisle, not waiting at the end of it. Their friendship sounds lovely, and it's really awful that you're letting your jealousy keep you from seeing that. Additionally, if I were in the boyfriend's shoes, not only would I side with my friend of over a decade, but I would also begin to question my relationship with OP. If OP hits boyfriend with an ultimatum, boyfriend will and should choose his friendship. Any unhappiness OP has with this whole thing is of their own making. Also, boyfriend sounded to be quite reasonable in the discussion of feelings and explaining why this was important to him without becoming defensive. Green flags on this guy for that, not red flags for his friendship with a woman. No kidding. 6 months and 2 weeks of supposed less attention versus a friendship of over 10 years. A father figure who shaped who he is as a man, and a close friend asking to be given away on her special day to another man. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. This poor girl's father died. Cousin can't come to her wedding, and you're objecting to your boyfriend of 6 months walking his friend of 10 plus years down the aisle at her wedding? She's literally getting married to someone else. Why are you dating this guy if you trust him this little? You're the a-hole. Gotta echo the above. You've seen someone for 6 months and you want to bust up his relationship with longtime friends. I predict he'll have an ex shortly if you carry on like this. Posted by user Craigery, titled, Am I the a-hole for disinviting my brother to my wedding after he told me being gay is wrong? Little backstory. I've been out of the closet since I was 17 in 2007. When I came out, people in my family said some pretty hurtful things, which I totally expected, being from a Southern Baptist family. In, God, it hurts to admit this, but Florida. But my older brother at the time seemed very receptive, surprisingly. He told me that if my dad ever gave me any trouble, to call him and he'd talk to him. That was really the last time we talked about it. Flash forward 13 years, I'm 30, and I'm getting married to my fiancé Scott next April, if COVID so graciously allows. I started putting a package together of fun things from my brother and I's childhood, all with the intention of asking him to be my best man. However, he called me 2 weeks ago claiming he's wanted to talk to me about this for a long time. He went into the long tangent about how being gay is wrong and isn't what God wants. He said he thinks Scott is a nice guy and he loves me, but he doesn't think it's right that we're getting married. It was quite a shock, as Scott and I have stayed with him multiple times when we visit my hometown. To top it off, and what hurts people the most, he said my 3-year-old niece, whom we adore, won't be coming to the wedding because he didn't want to have to explain to her what was going on here. Notice, he only said that she wasn't coming to the wedding. I think he fully expected to still be invited after this. His wife, whom he started dating when I was 12, feels the same apparently. My whole dad's side of the family feels the same way they do, but I've already written them off mostly in my mind. I think what upsets me the most is a sense of betrayal. They were my safe spot in the family. I felt like because they were close to my age and younger and went to college, they would understand and it wouldn't be a big deal to them. I almost feel a bit embarrassed because Scott comes from a wonderful Italian Catholic family and they've never been anything less than loving and supportive. I told them that, on what is supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, if they or anyone else is sitting in the audience and in the back of their mind thinking that what they're doing is wrong or right, they should just stay home. I know my brother and family love me, but it feels up to a point conditional and limited. I told them that they learned being gay is wrong. They weren't born not liking gay people, so they can unlearn it if they were willing. But I don't think that's going to happen. It doesn't sound like it's going to happen anytime soon. And, I don't think they should come if they hold those views too. If it's going to come out as negativity on that day, if it's openly going to just ooze out of their being, I don't think it's the best idea to have them around if they're so unwilling to change. But again, that could be another point of contention. They could hold that against you. So I don't know what the right solution is in this situation. But for your actions, I don't think you're the a-hole. I think that disinviting them was a good idea. Not the a-hole. No one belongs at your wedding who isn't there to celebrate it. Abso-fudging-lutely. This saddens me every time I hear about it. One of my 3 sons is gay. I've seen how badly some of his boyfriends have been treated by their families. So many have said, I wish my father was like you. Not because I'm a special father, but simply because I accept my son's sexuality and treat him exactly as I do the other two. They all get the same amount of bullcrap, insults, teasing, and sarcasm. Summer 2018, one of my son's exes announced he was getting married and asked me if I would stand in as his quote-unquote father to walk him down the aisle. It broke my heart that he needed to ask, but I said, of course, yes. Last year, I did it again for my son's friend. Not an ex this time, because there is apparently still someone left that he didn't screw. 3 years ago, my son invited me to go on a pride march. Almost as a joke, I bought a t-shirt with free dad hugs in huge letters on the front. I was amazed by how many took me up on the offer. Dozens. I'd guess at about 60. Some got emotional. I started the day in a party mood. By the end of it, I couldn't stop thinking about all the people who have to live without their father's love. I did it in 2018 and 2019. Same reaction. Looks like for 2020, the shirt stays in the wardrobe. It's bad enough they have to tolerate the homophobia the rest of the time, but their wedding should be a day off. Nobody comes unless they support you. And what is so difficult about explaining it to a 3-year-old? Two people love each other and decide to get married. Simple. I think the difficult part isn't explaining to her what being gay is, it's somehow also convincing her that being gay is wrong. They're scared they won't be able to explain why they think being gay is so awful. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry, OP. Your brother is a huge a-hole. You deserve to have people there who support and love you guys. All the hugs, OP. OP's brother was there for him when he came out in 2007. He has also maintained a close relationship with OP since then, right up to now, including providing OP and his significant other a place to stay in his home. It seems, and this can only be verified if OP and his brother have a serious chat, that OP's brother has been strongly influenced by the wife and father, possibly using the daughter as leverage, to convince him that OP is living in sin. OP really needs to have a talk with his brother and understand where all of this is coming from, whether these are really the brother's views, and of course, whether the brother now permanently stands by them. If this is the case, it's the father and possibly the wife who are the real a-holes. If the brother now permanently stands by them, he's an a-hole too. Posted by user Throwaway Musical 72, titled, Would I be the a-hole for pulling my daughter out of a school play next year? My 37 female daughter, who we'll call Molly, 14 female, asked if we could talk earlier. She said that she still feels left out about missing last year's school play, so she wants my permission to participate in the play for next year now that the year is less than a month away. I told her about last year where I had pulled her out of the play because even though she got the part she wanted, she had to watch her brother, 9 male, and sister, 10 female, after scheduling issues. With the set times, 3:15 to 6, I get off about 5:30, she couldn't look after her younger siblings. She told them they're both turning 10 and 11, and they're well past the age where they can start looking after themselves. Molly also pointed out she started looking after herself since she was 8 whenever I went to work, which is true. I told her no. I said that she needs to stay home to look after them. Molly then started to argue. She asked why she has to look after them. Here is the following conversation we had. She asks, why is it because I'm the oldest, I'm the one left with those two? Mum, they're 9 and 10, almost 10 and 11. I shouldn't have to be looking after them anymore. They should be able to make a sandwich or something and then behave around the house. I don't want to miss another school play because of that. I say, they've already shown not to be responsible. So teach them. Make a checklist. Check in with them every half hour or something. They're old enough, Mum. I'm tired of being a babysitter. They sit around and watch TV anyway, so what's the point of being home early? I eventually just got angry with her and sent her to her room. Molly reluctantly obeyed. When my husband, 36 male, came home from work, I allowed her to come out, but she won't. She locked herself in and doesn't want to talk to anyone. My husband noticed she wasn't greeting him at the door right away. When he asked, I told him what happened, and he took her side. My husband says it isn't Molly's fault if the little ones can't keep track of their own damn heads if they weren't attached, and that we should teach them how to look after themselves and set ground rules. I disagreed. My husband went to talk to Molly now that she allowed him in. Am I the a-hole? Yes, I think you should have realized you're an a-hole when you left Molly to fend for herself at 8 years of age, and yet, at 10 and 11 years old, you don't think these two can look after themselves? I was playing RuneScape back at home at like the age of 7. I could look after myself. Just play games, go get some food, chill back and playing games. It's not that hard to, let a kid just chill at home. Especially if there's two of them the same age. They're not going to go tearing the house down. Hopefully. I think you're an a-hole for not trusting your daughter and for not letting her do a school play. I wish I could have done my school plays, but, that's regrets that we have later on. You're an a-hole for limiting that opportunity when she was given the part already. You suck. Edit. I have read all the replies, and I now know I am in the wrong. I'll go apologize to Molly and my husband and allow her in the play. I will also start teaching the other two how to act when I'm not home. Thank you for your judgment. You're the a-hole. She had to miss the play last year. Get a sitter for one night. You're really saying that you needing her for a few hours to watch your kids takes precedence over her school play that she's been rehearsing for? Come on. That play won't be just one night. It'll be months of after-school rehearsals, building sets, etc. You're still right though. So, children aren't your personal babysitters. Not OP, and perhaps you should read to the end before making knee-jerk retorts. Even reading to the end, older children are not your personal babysitters. Hell, even dad agrees with the daughter. Mum should suck it up and pay for someone to chill at the house for a few hours during rehearsal if she's that damn worried. As the oldest of 3, my younger sister being 10 years younger than me, it was absolute BS that I had to give up my free time and activities because my parents couldn't bother finding a sitter. OP, you're the a-hole. Get a babysitter or other family member to watch the younger kids if they're that irresponsible. Someone who's actually agreed to watch them. Having to always watch your younger siblings will eventually lead to resentment towards them and not wanting to have a relationship once they're older. My sister could not stand me till I was about 15, and it was all because she had to give up a lot to watch us. Alright, and I think that's where we're going to leave today's episode, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed the content today. If you guys loved watching it as much as I loved making it, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel already if you haven't. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below, maybe like the video, who knows. I'd also like to take this time to thank my awesome Patreon and channel members. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably be homeless on the streets of Ireland, crying, Irish dancing all over town. It would just be a mess. But no, for real, you guys are up on the screen now. Thank each and every one of you guys. And if you personally want to join the club yourself, there are links down in the description below. There's also the join button next to the subscribe button. Small monthly fee, but hey, it goes a long way to help me create more awesome content. Well, with that said, guys, I hope you do have a lovely day, night, sleep, evening, day at work, day at school, whatever you're up to. I hope you keep awesome today. You're looking amazing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.